Welcome to this episode of the Making of Champions. We have a special guest, Coach Shareese Hicks from the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. So we want to make sure that we highlight so many different people, and this young lady has done a magnificent job so far at UTRGV, and we want to make sure we highlight. So welcome, Coach Hicks.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm a fan of the show. You've had some of my favorite coaches on there. I especially like the matriarchs episode. So, hey, keep doing what you're doing. I'm glad to be on.
Well, thank you. I think that episode needed to be done and shared. Not many people know that there was only 4 women to ever win the national championship on Division I. So let's talk about you, and let's talk about the program there at University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. You came in late in the year of in terms of how they hire stuff and everything, but you are quickly making an ascension up the ranks and everything. So what was it like coming into that part of Texas?
Oh, well, first off, it was something that I wasn't expecting. You know, I was very happy being an assistant coach. I wanted to be the best assistant coach in the United States or the world, you know. So it was an opportunity that came very unexpected. But once I got it, man, we just hit the ground running. As a professional athlete, I had already kind of had a background with an area like that because I trained in Miami for some time, and South Texas, Edinburgh, Texas is like a slowed down version of Miami. So I felt right at home once I got here.
Okay. Well, you know, a lot of people who are in this profession are they kind of look at areas that they want to live in. That wasn't your case, was it? You were the opportunity presented itself, and you making much of that opportunity. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was the opportunity. It was a lot of prayer. It was, you know, my husband really pushing me, you know, for that. And he said, man, you're a great fit. You can really do something very special there. And we just jumped on it and haven't looked back since.
Okay. Well, give us a background of who you are and how you came up to be to where you are now as the director of track and field.
Yeah, so I've always had a passion for running. You know, I started out running in high school, like most, you know, former student athletes did. But in high school, I was a distance runner, believe it or not. So, you know, I started out doing cross country, running the 800, running the 1500. I always knew I could have speed, but I was a part of a team that had a lot of speed already. So I kind of had to put that to the side and be selfless and try to, you know, do what was best for the team. But Coach Hall saw something in me and recruited me for the 400. So I ended up going on and starting my collegiate career at UNC Charlotte. Go Niners always. And when I was there, I really discovered the ins and outs of sprinting and really fell in love with it. You know, I didn't have the best form. I probably was 104 pounds, had never lifted weights. So, you know, being under Coach Hall, having that opportunity to be mentored and taught was outstanding. So had a okay season, a pretty good season at UNC Charlotte, and went on to compete professionally, and really just have never gotten tired of the sport. So once I retired, I immediately got into coaching, and as they say, the rest is history, but I'm still creating the history. So I think I'm too young to say that part yet.
Well, how was that transition of moving from a student athlete to coach, assistant coach?
To be honest, it was a little bit difficult, mainly because I had to learn to put aside how I was as a student athlete and learn to develop athletes that are different from me, whether it be generational differences, whether it be mechanical differences, training ages, all those things. They really come into play whenever you're coaching up student athletes. So it was pretty tough. I'm like, man, I used to do this and Coach Hall had me doing this, so you should do this. But you really have to be a student not only of the sport but of the art of coaching before you can really start to make an impact and develop student athletes. So it was a tough transition, but being able to call up different coaches on the phone and pick their brain about different things has helped me a whole lot.
Okay. Okay. Well, you were at Middle Tennessee State University, and then you made your statement there. And how was that transition of leaving there to come to UTRGV?
Oh, I was at University of Memphis.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same colors.
yeah, yeah.
Same colors, same state. I was at University of Memphis. Um, and really that part was a pretty easy transition for a couple of reasons. Number one, I had great mentors. Coach Rob, who's the head coach at University of Memphis, he allowed me to do a lot of the things that I'm doing here as an assistant. So I had that. I was a part of the female mentorship program. And so they paired me up with a head coach at Austin P, Coach Val. And so we would every Sunday, just meet and just talk about regular things. She'd give me some insight as to kind of how she ran her staff and, what her goals and dreams were on that level. So, she really inspired me a whole lot. And then y'all gonna get tired of me saying Tim Hall, but that's my guy. So having him to formally be his student athlete, but now to be mentored by him, I was going into interviews and everything just very confident. I already had my plan for the program um, before the program probably even existed. So it just was about matching the athletic director's vision and adding my little razzle dazzle. So that was an easy transition, unlike me being a student athlete to a coach. That transition was a lot harder.
Gotcha. So now coming in here, I know you have aspirations of where you want to take the program, whether it's conference championships, regionals. What does that vision look like for you?
Oh, great question. So, um, it another part of the opportunity just being a really good fit was that who I am as a person and what my goals are, they already align with our athletic department and our AD. So we were already on the same page as to what he wanted and what the athletic department wanted. So knowing that I could make that happen on top of my personal goals, which are first and foremost, making sure that we take care of student athletes, helping them learn, helping them grow as young people. Secondly, making sure that we graduate student athletes. And then the last thing was, creating an atmosphere where you can win at. I'm only in my second year here, and our AD is already investing $30 million into a new track and field facility. So, having all of that, the timing of everything, it's really helped to make that goal and that vision come true. And just to elaborate on what that vision is winning championships. It's, winning. We have a Vaqueros Cup here, which is, who has the most community service, stuff like that. It's, having outstanding team GPAs, all of those things kind of intertwine to create the ultimate goal, which is having a championship culture.
Okay. Okay. Well, it seems like you got getting things squared away. I know recruiting is a major part of the lifeline to have championships. You got to have the student athletes to be there. How do you look at your recruiting, and what are your focus on when you're looking for recruits?
Oh, great question. So we are very big on recruiting to the identity of our program. You know, sometimes you interact with different recruits, and they may be great people coming from great families, but your program may not necessarily be the fit for them. So for us, it's all about making sure that not only we recruit to our program's need, but to our identity, to our staff, and to our overall strengths. Um, so when we're bringing, athletes on campus, we want to make sure, first and foremost, you believe in who's here. You believe in me as your head coach and your leader. You believe in all of our coaches, who all, have their strengths. And not only that, but you understand that at this level, you gotta work your behind off. You can't be afraid of being accountable. And then when it comes to championships, you have to have an element of selflessness. So we're asking those questions and getting to know families and coaches, and just making sure that we're recruiting that caliber of student athletes to the Valley.
I know you mentioned Tim Hall as being mentors, and a few of your coaches at University of Memphis. What other role models have you kind of patterned yourself after?
Oh man, how much time do we have on the show? No, seriously. For me, I've had individual sessions with Coach Bev Kearney. Whenever I first was trying to get my foot in the door, I remember it was one summer where pretty much, I had my plan, and we went over everything, and it wasn't necessarily the X's and O's of coaching. We weren't talking about training philosophy. We were talking about like the program needs,
Right.
and stuff like that. So, I reached out to her, and she gave me her time. Another person I had during COVID, I had a lot of one-on-one sessions with Coach Vince Anderson, where we talked training theory, where he was like, you got to come with your workouts, and he gonna throw this away and add this, and all that other stuff. So and a multiple of other coaches, that whether they gave me some encouragement, because you know how hard it is getting into getting into the sport, and having those coaches pray for me and keep me encouraged, and stuff like that. And then I have a lot of coaches that I admire, Coach Carroll, Coach Connie Price, like Dwayne Ross, like all these people that you kind of try to emulate, and take different parts, from their programs, and add it to yours if it makes sense. So, man, I got a laundry list of people that have either inspired me or have poured into me. So I just feel so blessed, the people that I know, and the people that I'm surrounded by.
Well, in an earlier series, or earlier episode, I interviewed David Oliver, coming straight from the pros and going straight into the coaching aspect of things. And he took his lumps that first year. So how was your first year?
Well, for me, getting into the sport, I've really just kind of, I've coached at every level. I started out toward the end of my professional career. I got into high school coaching. And so, my husband and I, we were uh, coaching down in Miami, and we had, we were part of AAU squad. So we started there. And then after that, I was at junior college, as an assistant and as a head coach at a junior college in Southeast Kansas. So we were there for like 5 or 6 years there. And then from there, I got to be the assistant coach at University of Memphis to now. So for me, it wasn't too many lumps to take. It really was just a grind and just one learning experience after the other, because at each level you pick up something that ultimately is going to give you an advantage over everyone else just because of you kind of grinding it out and picking up those tools. So not too many lumps, just a lot of learning and a lot of patience and a lot of grinding.
Well, I would say you model yourself after two people I remember I did an interview with before in the first season. Coach Holloway coming from high school, going to college, and then Coach Pat Henry went to JUCO and then went to LSU. So you're in great company right now.
In very great company. That's not scary at all. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, but I mean, you're mentioning other coaches that I admire. I think you and we've sat on some Zoom calls, with those coaches, just being a sponge and absorbing, all the wisdom and all the things that they have to offer. We'd be crazy not to. You save yourself a lot of heartache and pain by just being quiet and listening. So for me, it was a little bit different from David, just because the journey was different. We took a different path there, but wouldn't change it for the world.
So what's so special about University of Texas Rio Grande Valley?
Oh man. First and foremost, the administration here is so special. I'm blessed enough. My SWA is a former jab thrower for FSU. So she, we already have someone that has the ear of the AD and plays a very important role within our athletic department that understands our sport on a whole nother level. So I think that's a contributing factor to how much support that I've gotten since I've been here, and how much support the student athletes get. So first, I think that's the one of the most important things. And then secondly, it's really a very special place simply because we have so many resources for our student athletes. That graduation rate is outstanding. We have a lot of resources whenever it comes to athletic training, mental health, academics, and we're constantly building and growing. And it's not really a selfish athletic department. Like everybody wants to see each other win, and at the same time we're all competing against each other because we want to be the best. So it's just an outstanding environment that our athletic director has created, and it's really building into a winning culture all the way across the board.
Well, what's important for you as you build your team to be champions?
Ooh, that is a really good one. What's
More than one.
important?
It can be one. It could be one.
What are the main things? Okay, so I think first and foremost that we put student athletes at the center of everything that we do. Making sure that I'm gonna steal Coach Hall's terminology. We positively impact young people. If we're doing that and we use that as our moral compass in everything that we do, we'll never go wrong. So making sure that every move that we make, although we want to win, we want to do it the right way and doing it the right way starts with the student athlete being the sole focus of everything that we do. So I think that in itself is the most important thing whenever it comes to championships, and everything else will take care of itself.
You know, Coach Hall and I, we're both alumni of South Carolina State University.
Yes.
So too, but right now we want to talk about you. You recently got inducted into the Hall of Fame. You know, how was that experience?
Oh man, that was that was spectacular. So my husband and I, we always compete, right? So he had already been inducted into his Hall of Fame. He's an Ole Miss Hall of Fame inductee. And so he was talking big junk, like, yeah, you know, SEC this, I don't know how big they're gonna do it, whoop de whoop, right? We get there, and I'm telling you, they really showed out in a positive way. Like, you know, from the football game recognition to the actual induction. And then for me, just being amongst people that to me, they're like giants. And I'm like, wow, y'all really think that much of me that I'm up there with Cedric Maxwell and another person I look up to, Miss Judy Rose, who was my athletic director at UNC Charlotte, and just all these athletes and philanthropists was just so surreal, and it felt so great. I rarely get emotional, but I was crying and yelling and hooping and hollering all weekend. So that was very very special.
Now you talked about your husband. So does he get involved with the program there with you?
Oh,
Or
absolutely. Yeah. We've pretty much worked together um since even before we got married, we were working together. So that's how I knew it was real because we weren't uh about to fight each other or anything like that over coaching. Like we just really enjoyed working together. We really complement each other with our strengths and our weaknesses. So he everywhere I've been, he's been the main event coach for hurdling. So I always tell the student athletes, I'm gonna get you fast, you know, improve your mechanics. And if you hurdle, he's gonna clean up your hurdle technique and get you to be the smoothest hurdler in the nation. So we've always worked together. He works here, you know, volunteering, and it's been just a continued joy and amazing to have my life partner out there. It's just really fun and really like a family type atmosphere.
well, dealing with that, I know a lot of coaches out here are trying to find a balance between life and the business of everything.
Yeah.
How do you make that time or find that time to get away from track itself and have family time?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a great question. So um for us, they actually kind of merge a little bit. Like we really are track heads. We really enjoy the sport of track and field. So, you know, if we're having a Saturday practice, we have our 5-year-old out there. She'll line up in blocks, you know, with the college kids. She has no fear, you know. So she's out there having fun and stuff like that. But first and foremost, we prioritize, you know, our relationship with God is at the center of everything that we do. So when we're making decisions and we're making moves, we keep him first. And then everything else, it really takes care of itself. So we plan a lot of family time. You know, we take advantage of holidays. We take advantage of our family. They help out a whole lot. Um, and so it's been a real blessing. I haven't had to choose. Like I know that that's kind of the thing with a lot of women in athletics. They usually have to choose. And I don't take it for granted that I have not had to choose. You know, my baby girl will be on my hip even when we're at JUCO. You know, we'll be on recruiting trips. I think she was like 8 months old, and she's right there with me. You know what I mean? So now she's in school now, so we have even more time. But I just thank God I haven't had to choose, and it's just been so fun.
Well, what do you feel is something that you need to accomplish this year in order to take that next step? towards championship rings?
Ooh, what do I absolutely need to accomplish? Um, we need to really make sure we maximize this particular recruiting class, because it's one thing to bring the ones on campus and have them commit. Now you have to show them, their parents, the high school coaches, really the world, that you know how to coach. You're like, you can't have a guy coming in, running whatever time, and then they leave you with almost no improvement. So this year, we absolutely, everybody from our scholarship athletes to our walk-ons, we have to see, some type of improvement um, in order for us to, really make a push toward what we ultimately want to do, which is win. Because if those key athletes are buying in, now the culture is there, and it's going to be absorbed by your future recruits, and now you have an imprint that's going to last, and really help to solidify that program's identity. So we got to coach our butts off, man. We got some great student athletes in here. They're believing, and they're making, some pretty good progress. But when the gun goes off, or whenever they make that first call time, uh, we got to make sure that they're progressing and doing what they need to do.
This might throw you off a little bit, but coming into the program, student athletes who were already ingrained with the previous coaching regime was like, how did you go about getting their trust in the system and going into your vision?
Oh, great question. So for me, I always first and foremost want people to know who I am as a person at my core. I don't want to present you with the person that you want me to be. I'm gonna show you who I am. And if you rocking with me, you rocking with me. And if you're not, that's still okay. Let's get through this year. Let's get you graduated. Let's help you to meet your goals. And then, let the rest be, let the chips fall where they may. So anytime you're inheriting a program and you're coming in with new thoughts and new philosophy and a new way of doing things, you're gonna get some pushback. But I tell people all the time, I'm only 5'5", and I might have a little bit of a Napoleon complex. So if you push, I'm gonna push back. So and then you really just have to go into it knowing that, like, sticking to your plan. I know the plan is going to work, and I know that anybody that wants to follow the plan is going to be very pleased at the end of the year. And unfortunately, when it comes to inheriting that program, everybody's not going to stick to the plan. Everybody's not going to like the plan. Uh, but the ones that stick to it and that like it, they're going to be pleased with it, and they're going to have a great collegiate experience, and make your life a whole lot easier as you pursue the things that you want to pursue.
Well, now that you said something about a plan, did you have to look at some things this past year, and I know you come in with a game plan of what you want to do, but sometimes you have to tweak that
Oh yeah.
on the personnel and the pathway that the university is going? How did you make those adjustments if you had to make them?
Oh yeah. I think you make adjustments pretty much every year. The landscape is always changing. You know, um, I mean, everybody in our sport had to make adjustments once COVID hit. You know what I mean? That was a huge adjustment. So I think you can't go into this business, uh, stick to the plan, but it can't be so written in stone that you can't make the adjustments. So some things that we had to kind of adjust to was, recruiting. Recruiting was a huge adjustment for us because we had so many things that we could take advantage of within the university that wasn't necessarily being taken advantage of before. We're like, man, we got to capitalize on this, and this. So we made those very good adjustments, and it helped us out a whole lot. And then the second thing was really sticking to our guns whenever it came to what we wanted to see out of the program and the student athletes. So that meant really an adjustment of the standard and sticking to whatever that standard was. Sometimes it's easy to waver, and it's the same with athletics. Like, being a former student athlete, you kind of always want to negotiate with yourself. I ran the 400, man. Training for that was brutal. I'm like, why am I doing this to my body? I don't understand. Do I really? Maybe I don't want to win that bad. Um, but once you're convinced of what that standard is, sticking to that standard is going to save you a whole lot of heartache and pain. So definitely had a plan, but was never afraid to make any adjustment if it made sense.
Well, you said we, so that means you have to have a staff there to accomplish everything you want to get accomplished with the program. How was that selection process? And I know, again, coming into institutions, people at other places, did you feel bad about having to take somebody from someplace else?
Never that, because I want to win. So I don't ever feel bad about that. And I really believe in destiny and things being kismet. What's for you is supposed to be for you. So in that interview process, it's kind of like I had an idea of what I needed, very, very detailed. But as the process kind of unfolded, my ideas kind of changed just based off of uh, the different personnel that was available to me. You know what I mean? So um, making sure the main things that stayed the same was, okay, whoever you bring on, they got to believe. They got to have that blue collar, roll up your sleeves and get it done mindset, because it's not going to be easy bringing the type of athletes that I think we can bring, and keeping the athletes that I think we can keep, to this program and to this institution. So making sure that, if I give you this vision, you're not scared of it. You know what I mean? If I tell you this idea, you don't have the mindset like, oh man, she's wild, that's too big, that's impossible. And those are the people that made that final cut. And we've been hitting the ground running and haven't looked back ever since.
Okay. So what does the future look like for University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley?
The future is bright. The future is bright. Our athletic director invested a $30 million facility that we're going to be in the fall. So, they're already breaking ground and moving dirt and doing all that stuff. So that's outstanding. And the second part of it is just making sure that we earn that investment. Making sure that the student athletes have a outstanding experience. That we have athletes that graduate and go on to do outstanding things. And that we create some great memories for ourselves and our staff in winning those championships and qualifying athletes to NCAAs and getting All-Americans and breaking school records, and the list just goes on and on. But it's very special in the Valley. We're going to do some very special things, and I'm just looking forward to seeing what all God has in store for us.
Okay. Well, hopefully those people out in the audience have taken a lot of nuggets. I took a lot of things. I've been putting some mental notes in for what she just said. But I want to give this opportunity for you to give any nuggets or anything that you want to say to the audience that might be watching.
Well, I always like to shout out my mom and dad. So let me make sure that I show them some love, man. I grew up under, my mom was a retired warrant officer in the military. My dad was a retired correctional officer. So needless to say, I had a very disciplined, focused household. So hopefully that explains why I am the way that I am, very, rudimentary and stuff like that. So shout out to my mom and dad. And then really to you, thank you for having me. I always love to be a part of things like this and watch things like this, because Like I alluded to earlier, I steal a lot of stuff. I'm not afraid to say that. I take a lot of ideas and learn a whole lot from shows like this. So um, I'm sure you're getting a lot of encouragement, but I have to take the time to encourage you. Keep doing this. This is amazing stuff. It's needed stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing who else is on and what other nuggets I can take, from the other guests you have on. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this platform is to give awareness, give knowledge to those who want to gain knowledge and to want to see how other people do things and maybe make a difference in how they do things going down the path. So I want to thank you for being a special guest that you are, knowing that, being able to come into a program, take over the program, and see the growth come forth, and you're doing a tremendous job there. I've been watching you. You probably say, okay, he doesn't know who I am. I know pretty much a lot of people. Now, I might have got your first school wrong, but
It's all right.
I'm going to make up for that. But I'm definitely going to try to bring you on for with your staff on another episode. So I want to really get into that element of things. So I want to thank you for being a part of the show. For all of you out there, hope that you took something from this show, and that if you see Coach Hicks out there, be able to relate to her, talk to her. She's open. She wants to take things. She might take some stuff from you. So be wary. But in this business, we want to be able to share. So you want to see other people. It's about the growth and everything. So those of you watching, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.